All right, so this one it says to solve using Gauss-Jordan elimination. So first things first, we have to write the matrix form. So the matrix form is going to be what? Well, we have a 3, if I can write properly, a 5, a -1, and then we'll have a -7. Then we'll have a 1, a 1, a 1, and a -1, and then a 2, a 0, an 11, and a 7. Okay. All right, so um, instead of dividing that row by 3, I think I'm going to switch row 1 and 2. So I'm going to say row 1 swap with row 2. And I'm going to be lazy because I know if I take and do this, I could do multiple steps in one time, but I'm just going to do that one step only first. So that gives me 1, 1, 1, -1. And then I'll have 3, a 5, a -1, a -7, and a 2, 0, 11, and 7. So now to get these to be zeros, I'm going to say, well, let's take a -3 row 1 plus row 2 goes to row 2, and a -2 row 1 plus row 3 is my new row 3. So that'll make that 0 and make that a 0. So now we have our 1, our 1, our 1, and our -1. Okay, now we have -3 plus 3 is 0, -3 plus 5 is 2, -3 minus 1 is -4, and then that's going to be +3 -7, so it's going to be a -4. And then you have here, it's going to be -2 plus that's going to be 0, then that's going to be a -2, and then that's going to be -2 plus 9, so that's going to be what, a 9. And so then we have, we're at the +2 plus 7, so that's going to be a 9 as well. Okay. All right, on this step, I think I'm going to do two things. I'm going to first take 1/2 of row 2, and that's going to be my new row 2. But before I take the half, I'm going to say let's take row 2 plus row 3, and that's going to be my new row 3, because if I take that plus that, that goes to 0. So I'm going to try to save as much as I can at each stage. So that gives me 1, 1, 1, and then a -1. And then I'm taking half of this row, so that'd be 1 and -2, -2. And then 0, add that to that, 0, add that to that, that's 5. Add that to that, that's 5. Okay. Now I've got one zeros and one zeros. Now I have to make that a 1. So I'm going to say, okay, well, let's take 1/5 row 3, and that's my new row 3. And maybe let's put it over here. So I have 1, 1, 1, -1, 0, 1, -2, -2, 0, 0, 1, 1. So I know x3 is equal to 1. Now I need to make those zeros. So I'm going to take 2 row 3 plus row 2 is my new row 2, and a minus row 3 plus row 1 is my new row 1. All right, so 0, 0, 1, and then I have a 1. And then I've got a 0, a 1. So 2 times that plus that's going to be a 0. 2 times that plus that, that's going to be a 0. Okay. Now I'm going to take a minus this plus that. So that's going to be the first row is going to be a 1, and then a 1, and then minus that plus that's going to be 0. Minus that plus that's going to be a -2. Now I just have to make this to be a 0. So I'm going to take a minus row 2 plus row 1, and that's going to be my new row 1. So that's going to be a 0, a 0, a 1, and a 1, and then 0, 1, 0, 0. And then that plus that's 1, that plus that's going to be 0, that plus that's going to be 0, that plus that's going to be -2. And so that will be my answer. So now x1 is equal to -2, x2 equals 0, and x3 equals 1. And then we plug that back in. So we have that's going to be a -6, and that's going to be 0, and that's going to be a -1. That's -7. So it works in the first equation. Then we have here -2 plus 0 plus that. So -2 plus 1 is going to be -1. So that works. And that's going to be a -4 plus 11. 7 minus 4 is going to be 11. So that works. Okay. And so that's, again, always a good thing to do is check and make sure your answers work. All right, let's stop there and we'll come back for another one.